Hey, 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 here we go. Here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. I'm the fool, not too tall for you fool, but I'm your guy, Finest Dabs, hanging out with you all this evening. Happy Sunday evening or Monday morning or afternoon for you, wherever you are around the world. And today with me, I have Justin Reed, aka Too Tall for You Fool, joining me for this wonderful episode, which is episode 104 of the Game on Watch podcast. Hey, Too Tall, how you doing, man?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm exhausted on this evening, but I have a water next to me,
Likewise.
and I have a beer. I have a beer right here, just to warm me up a little bit, to grease the wheels, so we can get another wonderful episode as we talk about so many things. We're going to be talking about TGS. We are going to be
TGS.
talking about, yes, the Nintendo Direct.
The Nintendo
Um,
Direct.
and we are going to be talking about PlayStation State of Play.
State of Play.
There we go. There we go. Along with a couple other things we'll be talking about in this episode. We'll be talking about PlayStation VR, the Sega Genesis Mini 2, or the whatever, the drive, whatever, Sega Drive, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about a lot of different stuff this episode. But before we dive into that, I just want to get some stuff out of the way. You can like, follow, and subscribe. Did you people out there know that? You can do all that. Here, I'm gonna help you out real quickly by Did you see that? For the audio listeners, it said comment, like, and subscribe. That's why I went dead silent for a quick second. But for all you video listeners, you got a nice
Video
glance at that.
viewers.
Yeah, video viewers. Like I said, I'm exhausted, man. So please excuse the jaggedness around my pixelated edges on this wonderful evening. Um, other than liking, commenting, and subscribing. See, I'm gonna have a tough time tonight, but it's okay.
I'm
You
here
can
to help you.
Thank you so much. You can send us your questions and comments to have them read live on the air. We do a segment at the end of the show called Game Chat, Live Chat. What's
Chat room comments.
chat room comments is what it's called. And we'll go through the comments. We will peruse through them, and we'll pick our favorites, and we'll just talk about them a little bit. If there is anything of interest during the show, of course, we will be in the chat room, pulling those comments if they're relevant at the time being. Other than that, you can follow us on Twitter at the Game in Watch P1, the Game letter N Watch P1, and then you can listen to us anywhere. You can listen to us at anywhere audio podcasts can be found: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Castbox, more, and yeah, wherever you want to listen to us, you definitely can. I prefer watching though; it's so much more entertaining, especially when I'm cracked out like I am tonight. I no, you
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
to comment. You don't have to comment. It's
No.
okay. Let's see. And then lastly, you could also send comments and questions to gamingwatchpodcast at gmail.com. And you can follow us, or support us, even better, I should say, on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/our view gaming, all one word. And we would appreciate your support so we can keep this podcast going as long as possible, because we love doing it. We're probably still going to do it. We just won't. It'll be low budget. It'll just be no video, only audio, and it'll only be found maybe on our private channels. And we don't want that. So support if you can. Other than that, too tall. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you gonna jump in and say something, my friend?
Yeah, just don't support us. Hopefully we entertain you every time we're on, and yeah, we're gonna have a good episode today. So that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say, really.
it's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the
Just the
two
two
of
of us.
us. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna make it a snippet of that later and put it on Instagram, IG. But Tutal, what are you playing, man? What's going on with that? What are you up to in these video game days?
All right. Well, I've been just playing like a lot of retro. I've been playing, the Cowabunga collection still.
Mhm.
Um, I beat Turtles 2, the arcade game for NES. I know it's not a popular choice among the fans, but I love it. I had it as a kid. I played it even though I sucked at it and always died like at the fourth or fifth level, but hey, it was always fun. And then another thing I did, I took a little vacation with the family to the Great Wolf Lodge here in Southern California, Garden Grove, California to be exact. So I was there this weekend. So instead of bringing my Switch, I decided to bring my emulation handheld device, which is right here, the GPD XD for all you audio listeners out there. Pretty good device. It's like a 3DS. It's an Android base, but I was playing just a lot of retro games on there. I was playing like Bomberman 2, I played Monopoly on there. I played the old Beethoven game on there. I was just playing just a bunch of random Super Nintendo games while I was in the room, while the wife and the kid were napping, sleeping, or watching a movie or whatever. That was like really the only downtime I had with playing games this week. Didn't bring the Switch mainly because I wanted to really not bring like too many electronics. And after going on vacation in to the Bay Area when I was out up there for work. It's just packing all that stuff. Yeah, it took a lot of time, and just I wasn't trying to pack that much stuff for 3 days. So,
Too many electronics? No
yeah.
such thing, sir.
Oh yes, there is a such thing as too many electronics. So I was just trying to keep it low, but I didn't even bring my smartwatch. I just used my regular sports watch. So I mean
Oh
that's
my gosh, man.
yeah.
You're
Well,
you were cavemanning it. Don't do that. Like you gotta bring all that stuff with you, man. I don't even know how you survived the weekend. You do this with the with the,
uh,
with the kid and the wife and a whole bunch of other kids running around you. If
yeah.
you've ever been to the Great Wolf Lodge, it is a cabin S Chuck E. Cheese with an arcade and a lazy river. I There's one here in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know if they're California based or what. It could be a fun little place. It's a decent place. It
Mm,
is it's definitely better than a Chuck E. Cheese, but in the same respect, it's also more ravaging. Like there is so many kids running around that place.
yeah,
Uh,
there is a lot.
yeah, like I breathe the air like from in the parking lot, and I feel like I'm gonna like get COVID. It is intense. It is really intense. I'm yeah, not trying to go there anytime soon. But I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm glad you guys went. I'm glad
yeah,
your little girl had a good time.
yeah. It was a good experience for us. She loves the water, so definitely the indoor water park is where we had our eyes on the money for that. So
Mm.
she can go a long time in the water. I don't know how she does it because me, Finest, I don't really like water all that much, and I grew up in Southern California, so
Mhm. Mhm.
probably one of the reasons why we don't have a swimming pool. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, she really loves the water, so we decided to just take a trip there for this weekend, and let's just say it was an early birthday gift for her, and she enjoyed herself. She had a lot of fun. We'll be going there again sometime in the future, not anytime soon, probably not for the rest of the year, but I mean,
Yeah.
I like it better than some of those other water parks that they have around the area. I mean, it's not as big as like Raging Waters or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it's a nice size indoor water theme park, and I think that's where it gets most of its attraction. Not all of it, but
Okay.
most of it for the most part.
Nice, nice. I like that. I'm glad you got to spend time with the family and all that stuff. Oh, I'm jumping into early stories. Um, yeah, you know what? I mean, this weekend, I wish I could say I had it like such an adventurous time like you did in your family. My little boy, one of my little boys is sick. So
Mm.
he's hacking up lungs. That's why I'm here doing a podcast and he's inside in bed because I just didn't want to be around him. Aren't kids horrible? Like just
Yeah,
full of sickness
yeah. I mean, they go to
and
school, they bring home
yeah.
germs, they get us sick, and
Yeah.
oh man, it's Like
That's
when
why
I
I'm
got
so glad
yeah.
I didn't have parents. It was just so nice. I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I'm I'm taking it too far. I will stop it right there. I'll bring it down 2 levels. But yeah, no. The one well, I have one kid that's sick. The other one's doing all right, but tomorrow is the first day with the nanny. So
Ooh, oh boy.
Carly's
Ooh.
going back to work, and my wife is going back to work, and just ending maternity leave. And yeah, so there's that, and that should be interesting. Other than that, I got to play a little bit of games. So
Oh,
I
you
played a
did.
little, yeah, I played some God of War.
Hmm.
Jumping back in that because I heard another God of War might be coming out soon.
Oh
Um,
yeah, there
yeah,
is.
maybe. Should have came out 11/11. Horrible mistake, Sony. Anyway, didn't happen. It's not happening. Was supposed to happen. You heard it here first. Um, but other than that, other than God of War, I played Hot Wheels Unleashed, that racing game with all the microtransactions. Still expensive as hell. I still
Yeah,
can't buy any DLC.
it has not gone down in price, and
The
I
game
think they
has,
did. Yeah, the
yeah.
game has, but yeah, the DLC, I mean, yeah, that has not gone down. I think they did have a sell on one of them, but
Hmm.
they have a lot of DLC for that game. It's just I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for the right time where it's just like, all right, I think this will be the price that I paid for the game, and just pay for it all, and just go from there, jump back into that. But I mean, it's a very
Yeah.
good game, but
It is fun. It's a little bit too easy. Like
yeah, it's a bit yeah,
they
just
gifted
hard
me one car, and
to.
I just dust everyone. Like it's not even a challenge. Yeah, and I
The
don't even
online
know,
is
like,
fun.
the online is fun. I really jumped online. I'm just
Hmm.
like stacking my chips and buying racetracks, and buying cars. So yeah, I haven't jumped in online yet, but maybe I should. Maybe that's where I'm gonna get the challenge, right? Like
Yeah,
right now, I'm
maybe.
not getting
Well,
the
we'll
challenge.
see. But right now,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, the computer, it is a bit too easy. But yeah,
Hmm.
the only thing that's hard about the game, and I think they give you like a little incentive to do this, is just trying to collect all those like collectible vehicles. Though
Hmm.
that's what keeps people coming back, and it's just like I'm not gonna put 10, 15 hours into this game just for the turtle party wagon or the Batmobile or anything like that.
Well, I mean, all that stuff you got to pay for. Like all
Yeah.
that good stuff, you have to pay for the DLC. So I'm a chaser. I'll totally chase that stuff, only because I want to do, like, I want the fastest cars. I want the fastest, most beautiful cars. And so far, I got some good ones. I got some decent ones. But I right now I have like my like top two because they're the fastest. I don't even know why you'd want to use a slow car in that game. I think they should almost control the pace that you get the cars. Like they shouldn't just let you buy any car that you want.
Mm.
They should like actually like give you slow cars and then have you build your way up to the fast cars. I immediately was gifted a fast car as soon as I jumped into the game. Like they're like, oh, here's a little bit of cash for you and go buy some cars. And I bought one, and it ended up being like one of the, I guess, S tier or exotic cars or whatever you want to call it, and it's one of the fastest cars in the game. So now like I have no incentive to switch to anything else, but I do every once in a while.
All right. All right. Well, I mean that's definitely interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
the most other racing games though, they do start you out with the slow cars, so that's
Yeah, they just don't in this one.
yeah.
Let's see. And other than that, I also did a test stream this weekend, where I streamed directly from my console onto our channel. So you could actually watch a test stream of Grand Blue Versus on the Our View Gaming channel. So if you want to go check that out, I kick some ass in there. Just
Hmm.
fighting games. I love fighting games. And yeah, I mean, I beat the computer. It's not like I beat anything else. But I did okay, and it was my first time playing that game. But
Finest doing
yeah,
some streams.
it
Wow.
looks like it looks like I almost knew what I was doing. And
Yeah.
Grand Blue Versus is free on PlayStation Plus right now, so definitely go pick that up if you have a PS4 or PS5, as that game is one of the best fighting games out there, along with all these other games that what's the company, Arc System Works, I believe.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't quote
the
me on
ones that
that,
make
but yeah.
like they make Dragon Ball, and they make Guilty Gear,
Hmm.
and they make Blaze Blue, and they make all these beautiful fighting games that have hand illustrated animations and so forth, and they're like 2D slash 3D. Wonderful games. But yeah, Grand Blues. is free, and the DLC once again is extremely expensive for that game too, and there's a lot of it. But I guess I got the game for free, so maybe I can sink, $30 into one of their DLC packs, because yeah, how much they are. If you buy them all individually, it ends up being hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So don't do that. Don't be a fool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't be a fool.
unless you're too tall for you fool.
Hmm.
So anyway, I think that's enough about that. I know our audience is like, what the hell is going on this episode? This is just we're on a hangout today. We're just hanging out. This is how this episode's gonna go. So if you want to hang out with us, make sure to chat in, and yeah, hang out with us. Write us some comments and some questions, and let's jump into our topics for today.
All
So
right, for sure.
gaming news callouts. All right, this is our first topic. Let's see. So we have the Nintendo Switch Online adds 3 more Sega Genesis games, and let's see. This was an article that threw on there, huh? It was right too tall.
Yeah, yeah, I threw that on there when I was going through the outline. I figured it does uh it is worth a mention, even though we are going to go through the direct. None of this stuff what we're going to talk about right now was announced at the direct that came like a day or two after, and I
Okay,
just go on my Nintendo Switch and it poof, the games are here. So I'll go through some of these games.
nice.
Alicia Dragoon. It's a Genesis game. Well, all of them are Genesis games. I hadn't heard too much about it. Well, I don't know too much about it, but I've heard what I have heard is nothing but good things about it. So definitely give that a try. Beyond Oasis. Now that one I am a little more familiar with. It's a top-down RPG adventure game, kind of like the original Zelda game on the NES. And then the last one is Earthworm Jim, a game I think a lot of retro gamers out there are familiar with, at least the ones from our
Mhm.
era. And yeah, for the most part, it's funny because back in like sometime in the spring, they added Earthworm Jim 2 on the SNES side. So now you can play Earthworm Jim, the original, on the Genesis side. So there we go with that. So, I mean, so you can play the first one and you can play the second one now. Different consoles. Maybe they'll do that for, say, Mortal Kombat 2, the original Mortal Kombat Genesis, Mortal Kombat 2 SNES. I don't know, but but I mean, for the most part, I mean, we're looking at some gameplay right now for the audio listeners out there. But I mean, that's Alicia Dragoon. It's a like I said, it's a pretty interesting game for the most part. I mean, I wouldn't say they're bangers, but for the most part, Genesis has been adding pretty quality games to the library. Yeah, yeah, at least on the Genesis side of the Nintendo Switch Online. So, I mean, right now you kind of can't go wrong with any Genesis game that they throw on there, in my opinion. So, I mean, definitely if you do have the expansion pack for the Nintendo Switch Online service, got 3 more Genesis games. There you go, and they're pretty good. They're pretty decent. I think you'll like them.
Okay, fair. Yeah, no, I always dug Earthworm Jim. I loved the cartoon, loved the game back in the day. I would love a remake of that one, just because I think in terms of gameplay, it was pretty varied. You know,
It was ahead
there
of its time,
was
definitely.
yeah, it was definitely ahead of its time. It was weird enough. I've always liked the weird stuff. Like I'm a big fan of like Invader Zim, big fan of like Maniacs and just Freakazoid and just the weirder the like that attracts me. So I'm definitely down for some Earthworm Jim anytime. These other ones I have no idea. I've never heard of them, never played them before, but I
They
don't
look
have a
good.
Nintendo Switch. I don't have a Nintendo Switch either, so that kind of just rules me out. But
No,
yeah. What are you? I'm sorry. What are you gonna say?
oh yeah, I was saying they look pretty good though. So I mean, definitely, I already tested out Earthworm Jim, so I'll test the other 2 games out when I get a chance. Like I said, I didn't have my Switch with me this weekend, so really hadn't been able to dip into it too much. But I mean, there's some good games. So I mean,
Yeah. Well, definitely
they're
let us know how they are when you do jump into them. I mean, that's all we can really ask for. For those of us that are switchless,
Switchless.
because it might be a reason to pick it up. I already know it's not, but it could be, and we're not gonna the option or the possibility that it could be the reason to purchase. So other than that, was there any last notes that you wanted to touch on with these games that were recently announced for Switch Online top tier service?
No, I think we're good. We can move on to our next topic.
All right, perfect. Let's see. And for our next topic, 19 games are coming to the
19.
place. Yes, to the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium subscription service. We learned this from let's see, Gamer Rant. And in regards to the games, yeah, there's a really good list here. We have Alex the Kid in Miracle World DX. We have Assassin's Creed Origins. We have Chicory, A Color for Tale. We have Deathloop, Dragon
Deathloop.
Ball Xenoverse 2, Monster Energy Supercross, Rabbids Invasion, the interactive TV show, Rayman Legends, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, Spiritfarer Farewell Edition, and Watch Dogs 2. These are all coming to the PlayStation Plus Extra games for service for September. I think they're coming out September 20th, so just in a
Yeah.
couple days. And then there's also those games are also going to be available in the premium service, and there's additional games coming out to premium service too. But before we dive into those other premium games, Tutal, what do you think about this initial part of the at least the PlayStation Plus Extra games that are coming out? Are you interested in any of them? And
Oh yeah.
yeah, what? Oh, please let me know
Oh,
which
yeah, I
ones.
mean, well, for starters, I mean, Watch Dogs 2, that's definitely a good one. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I already have that one. Rayman Legends, I already have. Rabbids Invasion, the interactive TV show. That's I was watching the trailer a little bit before we started the show, and that looked like a pretty interesting game. I think the big one on here though, Deathloop, and that was a big game last year. Definitely a PS5 game. So that's going to be a good one, and I just love the fact that that they're bringing big bangers like that one on. And then another game that I thought was very interesting was Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX, where you can play like the side scroller game as a modern side scroller, or like you would back in the 80s, if you guys like that. So I mean, and then of course Assassin's Creed Origins, that's always a good one. That's one of the better Assassin's Creed over the last few years. So I mean, you can't go wrong with anything on this list. This is like these are some bangers, man. I mean,
Yeah,
say what you want to about the way PlayStation's doing their service. They are bringing you some good quality games.
yeah, no, for sure. I already think like getting the service initially, I was really just trepidatious about it in terms of like, am I going to get my money's worth? But looking at the games provided so far in the service, looking at Stray, looking at Watch Dogs, looking at the Assassin's Creed collection, looking at all the Yakuza games that have come, looking at Deathloop, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, like I've already gotten my money's worth. I mean, a lot of these games I do already have. I think that's the worst part. But in regards to the service overall, just the few games that I haven't had. Like I didn't have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I wasn't planning on picking up anytime soon. Now I have it because I
Hmm.
have this service. Deathloop, I haven't been able to play Deathloop, but now with this service, I'm getting Deathloop essentially for free. One of the best games of last year, if not the best game. But, depending on who you're talking to. So I'm really excited about this lineup for the last 3 months that this service has been live. I think it's been 3 months. It has just been hitting on all cylinders, and I think that is the best part about it. Like it has not failed. In the beginning of this month, it was looking kind of like, like you know, it was like we got Grand Blue Versus, and we got the other game for PlayStation Plus, and we got a couple of games that they announced. But looking at this update into later into the month, I mean, this this is just this is banging on all cylinders. I can't say it enough. This is wonderful. But let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the lineup. So if you have the PlayStation Plus Premium game service, like your man F Man right here, Let's see. So you will also get Lee's Hack Pack, Kingdom of Paradise, the Sly Cooper Collection, Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, Siphon Filter 2, and Toy Story 3. Of course, you'll get the rest of the games that we spoke to earlier with the extra tier, but you also get these games in addition. And while I'm at it, I might as well just go through the games that are leaving. The only game that's leaving is Red Dead Redemption 2. So,
Boo.
yeah, something has to go. License are up, whatever. Anyone that wanted to play Red Dead has Red Dead by now. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's always sad to see a game leave. Too tall. Is there anything in the premium edition that you're equally as excited for as everything you mentioned in the X-ray?
Yes. The Sly collection and Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. That's a. I mean, we hadn't seen those games since like the PS3, so for them to finally come to the service is pretty big for the most part. So, I mean, I'm excited to see these games on there, and I mean, definitely. My question is it going to be cloud or will you be able to download it on the console? That's what I want to know.
So it's both. It's just dependent on the game. I would say 90% of the games on that service I can download, though at least like the big games that I want. There are certain games that are in cloud, but for the most, you can download a majority of the games. So like I have Stray downloaded, I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla downloaded. Let's see, what else do I have in there? I have Spider-Man Miles Morales downloaded. So it's just going to be a little bit dependent, but you can download a majority of the games is the key point.
Okay.
So yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah.
I created its own folder for my PlayStation Premium games, and I just throw
Oh,
everything in.
nice.
I just throw everything in there, and yeah, I jump in my free time, and I have it for the next 2 years, and I don't have to pay anything else. So
Yeah.
stoked.
Yeah. You're a lucky man, dude. You're a
Yeah,
lucky man.
yeah,
But I mean,
totally
one
took
thing.
advantage.
Yeah, but one thing with the Sly collection, they definitely should port that to the PS5. I mean, or the PS4 rather. Just so backwards compatibility. That would be nice. But we'll just have to wait and see if Sony remembers that they have the Sly collection. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
so see if they want to do something with it or just make a new game totally. I mean, I know there was rumors earlier this year about a new Sly game, but yet that as yet nothing has been announced just yet. So
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
No, no, absolutely. You're totally right. In regards to the Sly Cooper collection, that's probably on my top of my list. Also, I might re-download those ones, and if I have some time, go through those because Sly Cooper collection is definitely a underrated 3D platformer slash stealth game. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, just the comedy in that game is absolutely epic, and it's one of the better games on the PS3. Yeah, and I kind of I miss it. I wish they would bring it back. So all you Sly Cooper fans out there, be loud and proud because the only way it's going to come back is if we talk about it. Going on to our next topic, everything coming to Xbox Game Pass in September. We're just gonna keep the games rolling. That's all we're doing. We're just gonna keep on
Yeah, we
going
got
down the
games.
list of games. Yeah. Th- this is a little bit
Current or
stupid.
retro?
This is a little bit stupid though. This list is a little bit longer than the PlayStation list. And some of these games are already now available. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip all the now available ones, and I'm just gonna go straight into the ones that just recently came out in the last couple of days, and then will be available in the near future. But we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey coming to console and PC September 15th. We have Outer Wilds coming out September 15th. We have Despots game, or yeah, Despots game coming out September 15th. We have Metal Hellsinger. Let's see, the Dukes of Gaming just did a stream on Metal Hellsinger. So after you're done watching this episode, go watch the Dukes of Gaming and check out their video on Metal Hellsinger. And also, let's see, there's Deathloop coming out September 20th. There's Beacon
Oh
Pines,
yeah.
yep, coming out September 22nd. Slime Rancher 2 coming out September 22nd. Grounded 1.0 coming out the 27th of September. Moonscars coming out September 7th, and Valheim coming out September 29th. Woo, that was a
Well,
mouthful. I'm gonna go
yeah,
ahead
that was
and
a
I'm
lot.
gonna take it away right off the bat. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, in my opinion, the one of the better Assassin's Creed out of all the Assassin's Creed games. If you like the newer Assassin's Creed RPG style, so if you're thinking Origins, if you're thinking Odyssey, and you are thinking Valhalla, I like Odyssey personally the best. I know there's a lot of people out there that are very adamant about Origins, and I do like Origins. I think Origins has gotten better with all the updates that have come out since its release. When it initially released, I think the grind was a little bit heavy. I think the mechanics were a little bit clunky in terms of like, it wasn't the first, but it was a more action based Assassin's Creed. Like you can see that their attempts, like very much for the first time, in terms of making it more of an RPG and taking away like the stealthy Assassin's Creed elements. Um, and the loot system was a little bit broken in initial release. All things that have been fixed. So if you're jumping in, great time to jump in. Other than that, there's Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is absolutely epic. Also, let's see, Deathloop we've already touched on because it's also coming out the PlayStation on the exact same day. And I heard great things about Valheim. I have not had an opportunity to jump into it. I know some people on our Discord have had the pleasure of playing it. But anyway, Too Tall, was there any of these games that I did not mention, maybe that came out earlier and that are available now, or in the ones that I did mention that people should keep an eye out for?
I mean, in terms of just the games that I think that I personally like, definitely Assassin's Creed Odyssey. If you're into that newer style of Assassin's Creed, definitely check that one out. And then, of course, Deathloop. You know, it's coming to on the PlayStation side also on the same day, ironically. So, you know, definitely give that a go on the Xbox side, Series X and S. Unfortunately, no Xbox One there. And then, yeah, Valheim. I've heard nothing but good things about Valheim. So yeah, definitely it's going to be on PC toward the end of the month. So, you know, if you guys, you know, PC gamer want to check out Valheim, definitely check that one out. I think I've heard it's a good game. So, otherwise, not too familiar with the rest of these games on the list, or I'm just not that interested in them. In terms of leaving, we should discuss what's leaving though. Final
Oh,
Fantasy
yep.
13's leaving.
Hmm.
A Plague Tale, Origami 2, Bug Fables, Craftopia, Flynn, Son of Crimson, I Am Fish, Lost Words, Mighty Goose, Skatebird, and The Artful Escape. With the exception of Final Fantasy 13, I'm not really going to miss the rest of these from games that are leaving. So it looks like they're leaving. Looks like they've already left. They left on the 15th. So um, unfortunately, you won't be able to play them anymore. Actually, as of the recording of this episode, you won't. And yeah, just for the most part, yeah, Xbox is, you know, they're doing their thing every month. They got a list of games, and it seems like toward the end of the month they got more games like for their service. Seems like they care more about the service than they do their actual first party games. But hey, that's okay. I mean, that's what they want to
Yeah.
do. That's
You
all
know,
from me on the Xbox side.
okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for letting people know what games to look out for. Other than that, jumping into our next topic, let's see. Babylon's Fall is to close after less than a year of being live. And this is coming to us via PC Gamer, but it's been out for 194 days. It's a live service game. It lasted less time than Anthem. But anyway,
Oh
I'm gonna go ahead
boy.
and read this part from PC Gamer real quick. And quote, let's see, that's all 194 days. That's a long Platinum's games fast forgotten live service game. Babylon's Fall has been online. Now, a mere 6 months at least, the developer has announced The multiplayer action RPG will be closing its doors in early 2023. This game has like no fanfare like whatsoever. It was so forgotten that at one point its concurrent users was one person. Like it had
One.
one person on its server. Yes. Um,
Oh boy.
like that is devastating. There's so many people that worked on work on these games, and I think there was so much potential like within that game. Um, it's tough because Babylon's Fall it came out at a point where it could have learned a lot. It could have learned from PUBG. It could have learned from Fortnite as live service games start to hit PC. I'm not PC. As I start to hit consoles, there's a lot of games that they like it could have learned from, but it seems like it didn't take really a lot of notes. Because at that time Anthem had already failed. When thinking of games, there's also Marvel's Avengers that has had a rough time. It hasn't failed, but it had a rough time. There's Destruction All Stars
Mm,
that is slowly dying that we haven't heard out in more recently. Of course, there's successes. There's Destiny. There's Fortnite. There's PUBG, like I mentioned a moment ago. But in terms of live service games, like,
mm.
do you think there can be too many live service games in the market? I'll start with that question.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you see games that are similar to one another, I'll just use, say, like Destiny and The Division, for example. I mean, The Division is still out there, so, but I mean, I do think that sometimes, like, if there is a bunch of similarities, I mean, I could probably even use Anthem. I mean, that was a little similar to Destiny in a sense, and I know you were a big fan of that game when it came out. I'm sorry it didn't make it, but, just, I guess you want to. I would say if you stand out from other games, you have a better chance of survival at this point. That's my thinking behind it. Like, you don't need like another Destiny, with the Avengers, and that's the problem I see with that one. It's just, repeating the same missions over and over again, like with that game. So it's you definitely want to make sure that they're doing something different. You're bringing something to the table when it comes to these live service games. Now, with Babylon's Fall, sorry.
Oh,
Well,
hey, throwing out the
now,
zingers. All right, all right. I love it.
well,
No, go ahead.
no, no. Well, it just seems like what did this game like do? Well, I mean, really, I mean, for it to have I mean, I'm not sure what it's similar to, like in regards to any of the other games I mentioned, but like, what did Babylon's Fall do differently that it did not get a big audience like that? That it only had one person playing, and I mean, I know the reviews didn't get off to a great start, so it's just you just really have to just think, go to the go back to the drawing board and just see what went wrong with this game so it doesn't happen again. And just I mean, it really sucks for the developers who worked on the game. And I know they worked very hard on these games, so just for a game to see it fail like that, especially a live service game, it's just one thing if it was not a live service game, it just had bad sales.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that they're shutting down and no one can ever play this game again, it's either, oh boy, like let's try not to make that happen again. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I hate to see it happen, but it's happening in this case, unfortunately. So,
Yeah,
but
and we're seeing this time and time again with live service games. We're
mm,
really, seeing people or companies invest so much money, so much time, and so many resources in live service games. But the thing is the support after the game. Like I just it's tough for me to think as a developer, as I am not one, but to
mm,
think as a developer and be like, I'm going to create a live service game, but how fast, like, not think about how fast I can crank out content to support that game after the fact, because
mm,
that's where it really comes in. I mean, if you
yeah,
think about it, like, oh, like the longest video games take us, probably about 100 hours,
yeah,
on the very extreme end. In
mm,
most cases, it takes us probably around like somewhere between like 30 to 60 hours for most games. And a lot of these games, these live service games, in terms of the main campaign, it does take about that long. But how long is it going to take a company to create a expansion essentially, or release more story campaign? Or if you were doing a multiplayer, like what does that multiplayer look like, and are the mechanics around it fun? Like because Destiny, you and I have spent so much time in that in the past.
Yeah.
um the gameplay, the gameplay mechanic and the loot mechanics and the gun mechanics are second to none. That gunplay in
Mhm.
Destiny is some of the best gunplay like you can play in any game. And I
Yeah.
think in terms of doing the same levels over and over again, I think that part makes it fun. And really what kept us in that game so long was doing it together and just
Mhm.
like kind of not thinking about it but thinking about it, like, and just kind of like going through the level, like, you know, as it with your friends, like made it a ton of fun. But ultimately the mechanics, the gameplay mechanics, and everything supporting the gameplay mechanics made it fun. The loot made it fun. And you know, the all these other games. Halo is a big one right now. That's top of
Oh.
mind for a lot of people. There's been there's been no support or very little support with that game after the fact. 6 month season passes. It's only come out with 2 additional maps. We don't have any of the old maps. The cosmetics are they're mediocre. Like there was like the samurai armor in the first season. Then after that, like the only armor that's like been worth getting is like the ones with cat ears.
Mhm.
Like the armor is so non-interesting. Along with there just hasn't been any updates. And players burn through that content. But eh, can there be too many live service games? Back to my question that I initially asked you. Yeah, I definitely think so, and I think there's too many already. I think we need to, as we saw these get really popular. I hope the industry starts to pull back and really only like crank those types of games out if they know they have something. If they like feel like they have a loop and a game mechanic that makes sense and that is a ton of fun, like something as simple as like Fall Guys or I always forget the dodgeball game. um
That city game. I know what you're talking about
yeah,
though.
anyway. We'll get it. Someone in the
I'll
chat.
get it.
What's the dodgeball game? But like just having a fun loop mechanic, that's interesting is the key just the key to it. And I think that's why Fortnite has survived. On top of cranking out like consistent updates and content is really it, along with the live events and stuff that they do. But there's definitely a way to do it, and it's being done right by the top people that are still out there. It's just, can these other games like kind of fall in line or create something different enough that where they really are able to stand out in the crowd? I'm sorry, you were going to say something
Oh
a
yeah,
moment ago.
Knockout
Yeah.
City. Knockout
Knockout
City.
City. There we
Yeah.
go. There we go. Yeah. So interesting mechanic. They did go free to play though. Their
Yeah,
still
they
their
did.
sales weren't stellar,
No,
but they
not
were
at
they were
all.
they were good enough because they had
Mhm.
interesting mechanics. Fall Guys, interesting enough mechanics that it's still around. In regards to this story about Babylon's Fall, the Platinum Games has been struggling in general. So I think that also plays a big part of it. So they're discontinuing all future roadmap items. They are going to release as many as they can prior to the closure date, but the game will be no longer available to be purchased after September 13th. And then in regards to the servers themselves, the servers are going to shut down in 2023, I believe February 27th. Um, yeah, so that's rough right there. But you got a little bit longer to play if you're interested. But Platinum Games said in their closure announcement, they said Platinum Games thanked all the players for their continued feedback throughout Babylon's Fall short lifespan. In particular, through our survey, Platinum Games said, we received a great deal of enthusiastic messages of support alongside keen observations of issues and suggestions for improvement. The statement read, this really made us feel that we were able to create the world of Babylon's all together with our players. Despite all your support, we are truly sad and sorry to say that we will be unable to continue the game service. We hope you continue to enjoy playing Babylon's Fall until the service ends. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm reading an article here. February 27th, that will be 361 days. Not even
Yeah,
a year, man. That
not
really
even a
sucks.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things you kind of have to realize with the live service game is like it's a long-term investment. You have to have the like you really have to have the backing in order to make sure that you can support it, because otherwise like you could end up like a no man's sky, like if you do have enough support on the back end to continue supporting the game, you can maybe pull it out from the darker depths of the video game verse, if you have enough support. And luckily No Man's Sky had the support of Sony initially, so which really helped them create a path forward in really making sure that the game survived. um Man, too tall. Before we end this topic, is there anything that you want to say in terms of like live service games in order like for what they need to do in order to survive? I know you're not a game developer, and neither am I, but
Yeah.
what do you feel in your heart of hearts that they can do in order to just make sure that they
Just
don't end up closing after a year?
yeah. I think the best thing they could do is just make sure they have a backing when they're promoting the game. Make sure they have enough people there and enough people staying with them, because like you said with No Man's Sky, I mean, it didn't do very well like when it first came out, but it had the backing, of Sony, and it had enough of a fan base that it could continue. And we've seen that game do very good things. So I would just say, just have a big, strong enough backing. Definitely from the developers, the parent companies, and especially the fans, because the fans, without the fans, without the players, there are no games, man.
Yeah,
No one's playing this stuff. So I mean, definitely let's. I mean, that's really the best piece of advice that I can give them. Just
yeah,
coming from a fan myself. Just lifelong gamer. So I mean, definitely best of luck to Platinum Games. Hopefully, they can get it together. I know they got Bayonetta 3 coming out, later this year with Nintendo. So hopefully, you know, that should definitely see some success. Probably a Game of the Year contender. Who knows? But I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So
okay, okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I totally agree with you. Yeah, you just got to make sure you got to have support on the back end to ensure success initially. So in regards to our next story, PlayStation VR is out and wild, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So PlayStation VR has essentially hit people since PlayStation is allowing people to preview test units, along with allowing people to play a couple different games. Horizon for Forbidden no Horizon, yeah, Forbidden West. No,
no,
what's that game? Yeah, it's a
uh,
Horizon game. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up right now. But they're
yeah,
allowing people to play the new Horizon game in VR,
Call of the Mountain.
along with Call of the Mountain. Thank you very much. Along with three other games. So VR, PlayStation VR is PlayStation's new VR headset that is set to next year. So let's go ahead and go over some of the specs
Hmm.
about exactly what PlayStation has in basically hold for us for the future. So let's see. Okay, so I have it right here. PlayStation. Okay, so PlayStation is going to use PlayStation VR2 is going to use sense controller haptic feedback and adaptive triggers that offer a heightened range of sensations unlike anything anything Sony's had before. Let's see. So let's let's see. We don't have a price point on it yet, but in terms of other specs, let's see. They indicated that the headset will have an OLED display that boosts a total resolution of 4000 by 2040 pixels. That's 2000 by 2040 per eye, and just slightly more than the Oculus Quest 2. So if you have an Oculus Quest 2, this will be a better resolution overall. Also rumored in terms of what the headset is going to have, it's going to have 110-degree field of view, and it's going to have a foveated rendering. If you don't know what foveated rendering, it's a technique that uses um, gaze tracking or to render only certain parts of an image. So, for instance, anything that's closer to you, let's say you have a zombie walking up to you, it's going to focus on the zombie that's coming up to you, and then everything else in the background is going to essentially blur itself, so you can focus on the initial object that's coming at you at that given time. Sony also said that the headset is going to offer 4K HDR, and let's see, it's going to have frame rates of 90 by 120 hertz. Let's see, and there's a whole bunch of other things that it's going to have. It's going to have 3D audio, so you get a deeper sense of immersion. But as we've recently found out, you can use any headphones that you want in regards to it, in regards to the headset itself, and it'll also have a tactile element which can replicate um, pulses, or pulses during tense moments, or if something's passing by and so forth. There will be that haptics that's gonna essentially recreate that. Once again, we don't have a price point on the headset, but you know it is going to have one wire. So it's going to be powered by the PlayStation 5. So it's not going to be completely wireless like the Oculus Quest 2, which I think is making some people a little bit, uneasy about the headset overall. But just with the specs and the power of this particular headset, it's going to be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than anything else on the market. Justin,
Hmm.
does this particular headset, does this PlayStation VR 2, does this get you excited for VR again?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, definitely look at the specs. It's more powerful than the Oculus Quest 2. So, I mean, if you have Oculus Quest 2 now, I mean, if you're looking to upgrade, and if you have a PS5 laying around, definitely pick this up. And I mean, with the games that you can preview, it was, what is it? The Resident Evil 4, yeah, Resident Evil 4 remake, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and Resident Evil, was it, or was it No Man's Sky? Yeah, yeah, one of those. But for the most part, I mean, definitely look at the images. It looks great, and the controller looks good. I mean, does this get me excited about VR again? Yeah, definitely. I know Sony's, definitely trying to make it work for the most part. My bigger thing, and I think which is everyone's big question, price and release date. Um, I think it's coming out sometime in 2023. I don't think it's coming out the rest of the year. I think Sony would have already announced it by now. And then as for the price, I would be very surprised if it's like 499, or if it's 399 or less. I think it's going to be at least 500 bucks at least. I mean, what do you think of the price and release date?
It's always about money with you.
I know. I know.
Let's see. So in terms of price, I would say, let's see, I think it'd probably be 499. Honestly, the PlayStation VR came out at a 399 price point, if I remember correctly. Um, but just with the specs that we're seeing on this headset, I honestly, I think we're seeing a a 499 price point.
It's going to
Man,
be at least 500 bucks. I can't imagine it being 399 with all those features
yeah.
that thing has.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you think about the PlayStation VR original, like it got shipped with, or actually didn't get shipped. It had no controllers, so you had to have your Move controllers originally. Either
Oh
already
man.
purchased, or you had to have like those controllers already purchased, or you just had to use controllers, in order to play it. And this is coming with controllers that are similar to the HTC Vive or the Oculus Quest 2, along with all these other bells and whistles. So I mean, in regards to this piece of tech, I very much see this coming in like, just just more expensive overall. I think $100 is a good price point. They can't make it more expensive than the PlayStation 5. So we already know it's going to be less than the PlayStation 5. Can it be more than the PlayStation 5 discless like version? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it
absolutely.
can.
But it's not going to be more expensive than the disc version, and that I can say with pretty pretty good confidence. Um, but who's really to say? But yes, it's coming out next year. Sony's already confirmed. So we
Mm.
know that, and then the features are pretty much set in stone. But I'm excited for this, and I don't even have a PlayStation 5 yet. So
Are you
I
gonna
took that.
or when you get a PS5, or is that gonna be at the top of your list? Get a PSVR 2?
Top of my list is hard to say now. You never know what's gonna be on the top of my list in a year,
Oh yeah.
or 2 years, or whenever I get one. Like I said, I'm waiting for that special edition. I'm waiting for the PlayStation 5 Slim, or the Mini, or whatever it's gonna be called. So I
Yeah,
have a
and the
little bit of
Switch Pro
time.
too, right?
Yeah, and I'm waiting for the Switch Pro also. So I have a lot of waiting to do. I'm a patient man, and I have no problem waiting for the good stuff. Because I don't know, patience is a virtue and all that jazz. But oh man, I'm having a good time. Okay, so yeah, PlayStation VR. There go some specs. There was some pictures of it and so forth. If you're watching the video version of this, and yeah, I'm really excited. Was there any last notes on the PlayStation VR that you wanted to notate,
Uh,
Justin?
just I just want to see when everything comes out for it soon. I just want to see a release date and really the price. That's really my only main concerns. I mean, I think I've seen enough with the specs, so once I see that, it will determine if I'm gonna get it or not.
Yeah, so I would just say Horizon Call of the Mountain looked phenomenal. Like, looking
Hmm.
at people gameplay and looking at people's impressions, that game looks phenomenal. It looks like Horizon, and Horizon is already a beautiful game, but just being immersed in that world and surrounded by giant robot dinosaurs, just very Jurassic Park like. If you remember, like, being watching Jurassic Park when like 3D movies were a thing, like not
Oh
the original
yeah,
Jurassic Park, but like the more recent ones, like with like Chris Pratt and everything, and when they were doing like the 3D movie glasses and stuff like that, that was so epic. Like, that was so wonderful. Or even back in the day, like if you like ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, they have those like 3D movies, or they used to have one like with Michael Jackson.
Captain
Um
EO.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Captain
from
Neo.
Guardians.
Yeah, and all those different ones. They consider those 4D because they're like squirting you with water and stuff, and blowing stuff on your ankles, and yeah. Anyway, but yeah, like that was pretty epic when the as a first experience. It slowly like lost its appeal the more you did it, but I like just playing PlayStation VR and HTC Vive the times that I have, I definitely got a glimmer of the future, and I honestly think the immersion that VR could provide for you. I think as they smooth out the motion in terms of like walking controls, or jumping, or whatever the case may be, I think as they smooth that out, and as they smooth out like the reduction of like getting motion sickness and things like that, uh that I can very much see this be the thing, like in 20 years. Now, it's not going to be anytime soon. I think it's going to be at least like two more generations, before VR like becomes a real thing. But I'm getting the glimpse.
It's
I
knocking on
see,
the door.
yeah, it's definitely knocking on the door. I see where it's going.
Yeah.
If you've never experienced VR, I find a friend that has a Oculus Quest 2 and play some VR. Even PlayStation VR, there's certain games, there's certain demos, I guess, experiences that you can play on there that aren't going to get you like overly sick, and just is pretty awesome.
Just stay away
And
from Wipeout. You'll be good.
I actually didn't get sick in Wipeout, but okay, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right, my friend,
All right.
let's talk about our main topics. So let's see, what do we get, we're a little over an hour right now within this episode. Before we get into these main topics, did you need to take a break or anything? How you doing over there?
I'm good, man. Just let's
Okay.
keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take a drink real quick. I'm sorry for everyone watching.
Finance is taking a beer drink, a beer break. What
Yeah.
beer is that? It's IPA of some sort.
Yeah, it's a Citra Hop Session IPA, craft craft brewed ale.
Mm.
This is the cheap stuff. I mean, it's not. It is cheap stuff. It's Kirkland. So
Kirkland. Yeah,
we just got
sounds
these
cheap.
from, yeah, we got these from Costco. Just because they sold like a pretty good pack, and yeah, it was relatively inexpensive. They're decent. They're not great. I've had a lot better IPAs. But it is nice and hoppy. It is mild. They're not overly aggressive on the alcohol percentage, so you can drink like 5 or 6 and not be collapsed on the floor. But this is not our main topic of the week. This beer is not our main topic of the week. This week we are talking about PlayStation State of Play, Nintendo Direct, and TGS.
TGS.
My gosh, there's been so many announcements here. I don't even know where to start, but let's go ahead and I guess we'll start with TGS. Let's see. So in terms of announcements, TGS. Oh my gosh. So Taken 8 was announced. Street Fighter 6's full roster was announced. Resident Evil Villages DLC was announced. Let's see. Yakuza rebrands their series, and 3 new games were announced for 2023 and beyond. Sonic Frontiers details were provided, and they showed us Supersonic, at TGS. Let's see. Suikoden is also getting remastered. So Suikoden 1 and 2 are getting remastered. Let's see. So that was an announcement at TGS. Star Wars Eclipse, let's see, was announced, and that's coming from Quantic Dreams. Let's see. One Piece Odyssey gets a 2023 release date. Was announced at TGS. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak adds 3 new monsters. Let's see. Wulong Fallen Dynasty was announced at TGS. The Awakener Rising, which is a new RPG from a Chinese indie developer, was announced, which looks actually pretty cool. We got updates from Capcom about Exo Primal, and we got a story trailer. And Deathloop also got an update, and they're going to be adding new features to Deathloop, like 4K and all this other stuff. Let's see, they're adding 4K 60 FPS with a frame rate priority. They're adding 4K 60 FPS with visual priority. They're adding 4K 30 FPS with ray tracing, and they're adding 1080p 120 frames per second with VRR. And let's see, they're also adding accessibility options, and they're extending the ending of the game. Um, let's see, and they're adding a FOV slider, crossplay, and I believe that's it. So yeah, there's been some relatively good announcements from TGS. Justin, did it
Hmm.
did is any of this, and actually more,
Yeah,
because I just
there's more.
remembered something. Yeah, there's actually more. So, was any of this that I mentioned, or anything else that you've heard from TGS that like excited you?
A little bit of the Mega Man, the Mega Man Battle Network collection. I know a little bit of that was discussed at TGS. So I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to playing some Mega Man. I guess some of my favorite announcements, definitely the Konami coming with the Silent Hill. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh
I
yeah.
figured I just no, the Suikoden remasters 1 and 2. That those look really good.
Mhm.
Sorry, Silent Hill fans. Sorry, Metal Gear fans. But at least Konami came with something, so I can't fault them for that. But the like I said, the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. That's gonna be a good one. And then uh, Supersonic in the Sonic the Frontiers trailer. I mean, I'm ready for that game. I think I'm probably the only guy on Earth ready for that game. But hey, I'm gonna buy it. I mean, hopefully it's not buggy. That'd probably be the only thing from stopping me from buying it. But I'm definitely gonna dip into that. And then there was one more game that Exo Primal. I don't know, man. It's a game I want to give a chance, but then it's just like, is this going to end up like Anthem or just something? I don't know, but I mean, it's Capcom. I feel like they always bring it with their intellectual property. So I'm very curious to see how Exo Primal does. I mean, I want to learn more about it before buying it. And dipping myself into that story with all those dinosaurs running around and those exosuits that you use to shoot them in. So that's pretty cool also. So I mean, any thoughts on the games I mentioned?
Yeah, I would say in regards to XO Primal, I don't think it's going to end up like a Anthem. I think the only thing that's like similar in that respect is like, oh, like you're a person and you get in a mech suit. Other than that, I think it's a very different type of game. I would say it's more like a Left 4 Dead. It's gonna be a 4-on-1. It's gonna be basically like it's gonna be like a 4-on-1 type of game, or not 4-on-1, but like more like on 4-on-4,000, because you're gonna be like battling like all the dinosaurs and everything that are like coming coming at you, along with boss battles and things like that. I so I I think it's more of like a mission based game versus like a game where it's like necessarily about like the loot and the grind.
Okay.
I could be totally wrong. It's just that that's not the vibe I get from it. I don't get it
Okay.
like the vibe that like it's gonna be like a live. It's definitely like a live service game, but it's not in the same like realm as Anthem. It's not gonna be in the same realm as like a lot of these games. I'm trying to think of that game that came out quite a while ago. Yeah, I can't think of it, where you like fought monsters. Um, and it was four
Hmm.
against one, but yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Exo Primal, I think is pretty cool. I think it's gonna be an awesome time in terms of, I think it's gonna be wacky fun.
Hmm.
If you're like thinking about like, oh, you're gonna jump into this game and you're gonna get like some wonderful story, that's like super grounded and down to earth. I think you're gonna be like completely let down. So I hope like that's not what you're expecting. I think in terms of the gameplay itself, you know I think it's gonna just be wacky fun. Yeah, I love mech games.
Hmm.
My favorite one being Armored Core. I think the movement and like I was talking about earlier, the gameplay mechanics, the movement and the shooting has to feel good. Um, if they can nail that down, I think hunting dinosaurs is one of the most fun things you can do, especially now in these days, because it's not done every day. Like we don't have a ton of
Yeah.
dinosaurs. I mean, yeah, we have Horizon Forbidden West. There's
Those are
also,
robot dinosaurs, though.
yeah, those aren't even like dinosaurs, but like those are robot dinosaurs. There was a PC game that like where you hunted raptors. Like more recently, and there's a couple other dinosaurs in it, but that did actually pretty well recently, and I don't even know the name of it. So if anyone in the chat knows the name of that game, please let us know. But I think this is almost like Days Gone, but instead of like freakers, you're getting raptors. You, you know,
Um,
and then if you've been following this game, there's going to be ones with like special power, or there's going to be like upgraded dinosaurs that are kind of like outside of your norm. Like you're gonna have your standard dinosaurs. Like now on screen you see like a T-Rex, but it's not like it's a standard T-Rex. It has like glowing red eyes and so forth. Um, or yeah, if they can kind of like a Warframe like style, in terms of like mechanics and get with gunplay and fighting, and kind of just upgrading your character, and then tying that into like hunting dinosaurs, I think they could have a hit on their hands. I think they're going to need cross-platform and cross-progression. I think
mhm.
that's going to be really, really
Yeah,
important for this
they're
game.
gonna have to do cross-platform for sure. I think for it to be successful.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's going to be one of those games that kind of sneaks under the radar, and then once people start getting their hands on it, I think they're just going to have a ton of fun.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
a game I'm gonna be looking at very closely before it comes out. See if it's a game I might want to dip my hands into. So we'll definitely see.
Nice, nice. I think my biggest and or the biggest announcement that hit me was Taken 8. I think
Tekken
was
8.
yeah, you it. I think that's gonna be the game that like kind of surprised me most. So this is kind of weird because this game actually appeared. They had an interview at TGS with Katsurio Harada. What who's one of the lead directors on Tekken 8, but it's crazy because this game also appeared at let's not too crazy, but this game also appears Sony State of Play. So I'm kind of double dipping right here. We're not
hmm
even talking about the State of Play yet, but in
Nope.
regards to like my favorite announcement, or the favorite thing talked about at TGS, it was this game, and it's also my favorite game that was talked out at the State of Play. So it was such a surprise. If for fighting game fans, I was already talking about fighting games earlier. This was absolutely amazing. Just seeing the updated graphics. There was a disclaimer that said like this is in-game engine, or engine gameplay, I should say. But just the amount of raindrops that you see like populating the screen, and it was very much like a showcase. It like it was like those movies, like a John Wick movie, where like you see the bullet like flying through the the screen, and then like it like hits like it's like hitting raindrops, and raindrops are exploding. Is the same type of game, or the same feel that I got from the game. I'm not the biggest Tekken fan, but Tekken 7 like kind of really got me hyped for Tekken again. It just kind of relaunched the series, but with that game originally coming out on arcade, um, and then getting ported to console, it really lost a lot of the I think in terms of like a lot of the beauty, that like they didn't try to develop it for PS4 or Xbox. It was very much like, oh, we created this game, and now we're just bringing it over so you can play it at home. Whereas this game is being developed for PlayStation 5, and PlayStation is really just taking over the Evo scene,
Yeah.
which they're like taking just every fighting game and ensuring that it's like coming over to their console. I mean, minus Smash Brothers, but like if you think about it, like PlayStation has like, oh, like last generation, or this generation, what the PlayStation 4, they had Street Fighter exclusive. They bought Evo, and then they had essentially Dragon Ball Fighters, which came out to multiple consoles, but I think it was more popular on the PlayStation 4 than any other console. You know, they just had they I mean Grand Blue Versus was also at Evo. Um, it's just along with all these games, they're really just taking fighting games and really just stitching them into their service.
Yeah.
But outside of me double dipping into essentially TGS and and the state of play, I think let's see what other events were I excited for. I think that's going to be really like the big one for me. Um, I know Xbox had like a TGS showcase this last year. Um, Other than that, I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. There were some updates. There was an Evil. Oh, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection was talked about at TGS, which I'm excited for.
Never played them
We also
on
got
Game Boy Advance, so I'm definitely excited for those.
yeah, absolutely, and I did not play them on Game Boy Advance, which is reason why I'm excited for them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Cross Duel was also talked about at TGS. Oh, you mentioned earlier Sweet Code in 1 and 2 remasters. I'm really excited
Yeah,
about
those,
that.
those look good.
Yeah, yeah, those look really good. I would say with that, I hope like Konami like reaching out to Square Enix and being like, hey, you put out a lot of a lot of remasters of like old pixelated games. Like, what engine do you use, or can we maybe like venture or buy your engine in order to release our games, so they can ensure like they do it right because Konami they've been a pretty good job. Not that they haven't been doing a good job putting out the remasters, but I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that, like Suikoden is like those underdogs that like kind of like not a lot of people know about, especially like, but if a 80s kid, you probably know about Suikoden.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's a definitely gonna be that looks really good what they showed so far in that art style.
Hmm.
Ooh, something else. I'm really digging the art style.
Yeah, and other than that, there was also Octopath Traveler 2, which was a big announcement, which looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that
So
looks great.
I'm excited about that one. Let's see, there's Samurai Maiden that looked Um, let's see, was there anything else? There was Stray Blade, Miyamasa Chronicles, Unholy, Unheard Voices of Crime, Rogue Spirits, Euden Chronicles, Rising of 100 Heroes, Gunfire Reborn, Assetto Corsa. Uh, let's see, there was Legend, and there was Serial Killers, and there was a couple other games. But I think in regards to TGS, those are going to be my biggest ones. Let's see. So that said, I think we're fine to jump over to PlayStation State of Play. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you just about nailed everything with TGS, and I already told you what I was excited about from it. So yeah, let's definitely move on to Sony State of Play.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. My first question in regards to the State and Play before we jump into the games, what were your initial impressions of the State and Play? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it?
I thought it was all right. I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. I mean, Tekken 8 was, good. Well, you didn't want, well, without trying to mention any other games besides that one, you already talked about it. I thought it was a good, just a good little showcase for, leading up to the Tokyo Game Show for the most part. I don't think it was the best showcase ever, but at the same time, I don't think it necessarily disappointed either. I mean, to some people it did, but I mean, that's their opinion. It's not everything out there is going to impress everybody, in my opinion. So that depends what
Yeah.
y'all like at the end of the day. So,
Okay. Was there? Would you say was there anything that you were disappointed by, or that you would like to have seen differently or done better?
uh, I mean, from what I saw, no. I mean, and like I said, I didn't think it was perfect. Maybe, guess one thing that it probably could have did better. Maybe just more gameplay of some of the games. That's about it. I mean, Otherwise, I mean, I wasn't like mad that they didn't like not mention like a particular game here or anything like that. You know, they just one of the things I do like about the state of play is they keep it short and sweet. They're not like Xbox that can run on a presentation for like over an hour of just games that that not saying all of them, but a lot of games that people don't care about or really care to see, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
uh, so I mean, I think they do it right. Maybe it could have been a little bit longer in regards to that. Otherwise, I think it was fine.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I wasn't particularly disappointed by it or anything in that regard. I don't think it was a, amazing state of play. I mean, I think the biggest thing was, for most people, it's like, oh, I mean, besides Taken, was you got to see more God of War.
Yeah.
Was the big aspect of it. I think for those people that are interested in the Yakuza games,
Hmm.
I think that's going to be a big part. But let me go ahead and run down like the list of announcements real quick, so people have a little bit more context. But in regards to the state of play, of course, Taken 8 was announced there, which was big. Like Dragon Ishin was announced. Let's see. And then, of course, a God of War story trailer was shown. Other things that were announced: Hogwarts Legacy is getting a PlayStation exclusive quest. Demio is coming to PlayStation R2. Star Wars Tales of the Galaxy Edge Enhanced Edition is coming to PlayStation VR 2. Pacific Drive, let's see, was announced. And Sony explained how PlayStation Stars, their new program where you get trophies. You can get trophies for doing completing, like, I don't know, daily task. They talked about that and how that's going to be rolling out in various regions later this month. Bandai Namco announced a new mecha game called Sin Duality. PlayStation will also publish Stellar Blade, which debuted at last year's PlayStation Showcase as Project Eve. And then Sony Interactive Entertainment is publishing Rise of the Ronin from Koei Tecmo. And that's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive in 2024. So that's really all the biggest announcements from that particular showcase. Um, Tutal, did,
Uh,
did any of that fancy you? Was there any highlight for you? Like, I know you said the
yes.
showcase was decent, but
Yeah, there was a highlight. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because I said it was decent doesn't mean I think there wasn't a highlight. At least for this one, Rise of the Ronin looks good.
mhm.
I can't wait to play that game. That really looks like it's a game I would really have fun with. Kind of reminds me of when uh that other game. It's just I'm having a brain fart right now, but yeah, just it's a yeah, Rise of Ronin looks really good, and then the other game, Inshin, that also looks good too. So I was impressed with both those games. Otherwise, that was about it. I mean, yeah, definitely God of War Ragnarok was, definitely, if you're gonna get it, you pretty much already have your mind made up by now. And I know they trolled some fans, showing that controller, thinking that was gonna be it. Now,
Oh yeah, the two wolves.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I'm sure people.
totally.
I'm sure people would have been pissed if that was into the presentation right then and there. But
Yeah. So for
yeah,
those of you who don't know, PlayStation also announced a new God of War Ragnarok controller. It's a gray and blue. The primary color of the controller is gray, while the buttons and a couple other aspects of it are blue. And then it has two wolves on the touchpad on the center and the front controller that are howling. And they kind of look like they're kissing. And it's kind of been like the butt of people's jokes. But I've also seen a lot of people say like they have to have this controller, like it's a must-have for them.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, that was good. Oh yeah, the game I was thinking about was Ghost of Tsushima. Reminds me of a lot of that. So
Hmm.
yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what more that game entails, and I definitely want to get my hands on it when it comes out. So definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, Rise of the Ronin. That was the highlight for me. So
Okay.
I'm excited about that game.
You know what? I can look pretty good too. It reminded me of Sekiro though.
Okay, Sekiro. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it particularly reminded me of. It looked soulsy, and
Mhm.
I'm not. I'm I'm still in Elden Ring. I'm
Oh
only
God.
like 15. I'm only like 15 hours in. I only play when I have large chunks of time. But anyway, Sekiro. I liked the latter half of the game, which I never got to. I like the fact like that you had summons. And you had crazy creatures and powers, and I like the DLC content that came out at a later point. I did not like the initial part of the game; it was very hard, and I sucked at it. What could I say? I just wasn't good at it.
Mhm.
So Rise of the Ronin gives me like Sekiro vibes, and I'm just like it's beautiful, but at the same time, I'm like, no,
Well,
it
we'll
can't.
see. We'll see.
Don't want to do it again. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see.
I mean,
I
we
can't
don't know
wait.
much. We don't know much right now. So I mean,
No,
definitely. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima. People thought that was gonna be Souls game too.
yeah.
Really wasn't. But I mean, it was good. That game was amazing. So I mean, definitely looking forward to that one for sure. That was really the highlight for me. And then yeah, just otherwise, just the controller. I'm a big controller head, but I don't think I'll be getting that controller. And then the Ragnarok controller that is. And yeah, it's just
Hmm.
I mean, but for the most part, for 20 minutes, it wasn't a bad showcase for Sony at all, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. If that said, if you had to rate it out of, let's see, should we do 10 point or 5 point scale? Let's go ahead and do it out of five to make it easy.
Five,
If you had to
okay,
rate it out of five, what would you rate the PlayStation State of Play?
about a 3.5.
Three. Okay. Oh, you went decimal on me. Damn it. Would you rate it a three
Okay,
or a four?
a four. Okay, four, I'll round up four. Four. I'll give it a four.
All right, all
I'll
right,
give it
all
a
right.
four.
So, wow. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty
Okay.
good. Let's see. We didn't do TGS. What would you rate TGS?
TGS. Uh,
And this is
I'll
their first in appearance show since COVID. So it's been a couple years.
I'll probably give it a 5 out of 5. I mean, I think there's a lot to be excited about for all the fans. I'm not just speaking for me, for
Yeah.
instance, when I grade these shows. I'm just speaking overall, So I'd give that a 5 out of 5. The TGS.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the Nintendo Direct then.
the
'Cause
Nintendo.
we want
Okay.
to hear your rating, Too Tall. Your rating
Okay.
means everything to us, and if you're giving fours and fives out, I am very curious to what you're gonna give this. So in regards to the Nintendo announcements, there was a shit ton of announcements. Oh my god.
Yeah, there was.
So let me go ahead and I'm gonna plow through these really, really quickly. But Fire Emblem Engage was announced. It Takes Two is announced coming in the Switch. Fatal Frame Massive Lunar Eclipse. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Expansion Pass, Wave 2. That's for the Xenoblade Chronicles. SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. Fitness Boxing, Fist of North Star, Oddballs, Tunic, Front Mission 1 and 2, and the third remakes are happening. Story of a Wonderful Life, Splatoon, Splatfest is coming to Splatoon. Octopath Traveler 2, Fae Farm, Theatrium, Final Bar Line, Mario Rabbit Sparks of Hope. Just announced some content about that when it's coming. Rune Factory 3 Special Edition, Nintendo Switch Online, additional N64 packs. That includes GoldenEye, which people are very excited about, which is also coming to the Xbox on the same day, but in a different format. Various Day Life, Factorio, IB or IB, Mario Strikers Battle League gets a free update. Altair, Ryza 3 Alchemist of the End, and the Secret Key. Mario Kart Deluxe Booster Pack, Wave 3, and they announced what's coming with that. Nintendo Switch Sports Golf was delayed. Pikmin 4 was announced. Just Dance 2023 edition was announced. Harvard was provided with another update. Bayonetta was provided with another update. Master Detective Archives Rain Code. Resident Evil is coming to the Switch. Sifu is coming to the Switch. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion's coming to the Switch. Radiant Silvergun got an update about that coming to the Switch. Endless Dungeon, Tales of Symphonia Remastered, and there was a sizzle reel, and Kirby Return of Dreamland Deluxe is coming to the Switch. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was their final and big announcement for the presentation. Woo,
Oh, you
that
got
is a
through it.
lot. I did, and yeah, man, that's a lot. So I'm just gonna before we dive into the games, um, we want to know your opinion about this, and I'm gonna jump in before you do.
Mm.
For me, I think this state of play, or not state of play, for this direct, it could it could have gone two different routes for like who you are. I think for me in particular, I think a lot of these games really hit it for me. There was a lot of farming simulators, a lot of farming
A lot
simulators.
of them.
Oh my gosh. If you want to farm, the Switch is the place to do it. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think I used to be really big on Front Mission. So seeing those remakes happen makes me really excited. Um, you know, gosh, there is so much. The Theatrium, or yeah, Theatrium, or Theatri Rhythm, yeah. Final Bar Line, the Final Fantasy music game. That reminds me of what was that Mario? What was that Mario music game that came out in the Mario pack?
uh,
Mario All Stars, I believe it was, or way back in the day. Do you remember that? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Where you
uh,
can make your own music?
Mario Paint.
Was it Mario Paint? You can make your own. Okay,
You can make music in Mario Paint.
okay, okay. Yeah,
The game
man.
with the mouse, right? And I
Yeah,
had it as a yeah, no Mario
yeah.
Paint.
You had
That's
it.
what you're
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So it kind of reminds me of Mario Paint. Just like all Final Fantasy songs, and they said they'll like be updating those songs also. Of course, the Nintendo Switch Online expansion GoldenEye I think is interesting. I'm not really excited about that. I'm kind of curious to see how it'll play on the Xbox, not the Switch. I think it's gonna be trash on the Switch because it's gonna have
Well,
online.
oh yeah, the online.
Yeah. Pikmin 4 was announced in 2017, and we haven't heard high or hair of that game. And to see that they haven't spoken about it. They haven't said anything since their original announcement. So just hearing about that game again is very interesting, and I'm glad that they waited until it was ready to really bring that out. Just Dance. I didn't think one was coming out this year. I really thought that would have came from the UB Direct, but and so I thought it like, oh, we didn't get a Just Dance game. Not happening this year. But no, it's happening. Um, but it is the 2023 edition. So actually, it's probably not happening this year. It's probably happening next year. Harvestella is one that's on a lot of people's radars. I think this is the major farming sim that everyone's digging into because it's not just a farming sim. You can like have battles and battle creatures and stuff like that. And Bayonetta 3. I'm scared for Resident Evil being on the Switch, and I'm scared for Sifu being on the Switch. I think I think it's gonna be
Cloud,
garbage.
cloud,
Yeah. Oh
cloud.
yeah, the cloud series for Resident Evil is they didn't say that for Sifu though. They said that for Resident
Seafood, you
Evil.
think it's just gonna be bad? Okay.
Yeah, I think those are going to be horrible on the Switch. One of the games, my last game, I will say that I'm really excited for. Besides Breath of the Wild 2, I know that's not the name anymore, but that's what I'm gonna keep on calling it. Is Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe,
That was good.
and I that looked like so much fun. But Tutal, now that we've gone through all the games and I've kind of given my list of games that I'm excited about, let's talk about a couple of them.
All
So
right.
please tell us your favorite games, and then yeah, let's talk about with these games a little bit and
All
what's your
right,
favorites.
so I'll go through. I'm just gonna scroll through the list and just give the ones I liked. Definitely Fire Emblem Engage. I know our boy Segoy is probably doing a backflip once he saw that was announced. So that's
Hmm.
very exciting to see come in that another Fire Emblem game's coming out very soon. Uh, let's see. It Takes Two is a that coming to the Switch Game of the Year last year. That's also a good one. Also exciting to see that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 expansion pass is coming. Let's see what else. Tunic coming to the Switch is also a good one. Didn't really care too much for the farming simulators. I'm not much of a farming guy, as you know. The Splatoon 3 Splatfest, I know that's exciting for a lot of people. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I really am on edges of getting that game. We'll see when it comes in October, but yeah, that's gonna be good. I mean, it's Switch Online expansion pack for the N64 editions. The first three Mario Party games. You got 1080 Excite Bike 64, Pokemon Stadiums 1 and 2, Pilot Wing 64, which I think is a pretty underrated game on N64. And then I was very surprised that they announced GoldenEye finally. Finally Nintendo, Xbox, Rare, MGM, they were finally able to make it happen. So, that was a good one. Um, let's see. What else? Various Day Life was pretty interesting. Factorio, I know that's already on PC. I want to learn a little bit more about that one. It looks very interesting. Mario Strikers Battle League gets a new update with Diddy Kong and Pauline, so that's good. Also looking forward to those course pass of Wave 3 for the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Definitely at Christmas time. That Christmas um, track that they have looks really good. I'm ready to play that when that comes out. Definitely stream it for y'all on the channel. Pikmin 4 was a big announcement for a lot of people. Another update on Bayonetta 3. Uh, Otherwise, I'm going through the rest of this list here. Was seeing if there's anything else. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and then of course The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, or Breath of the Wild 2, whatever y'all want to call it. That's about it in terms of what I was excited about. So, I mean, I'm just gonna take it for what it was. I mean, I'm not super excited about a lot of the things that I am excited about, but it was definitely a good list, and just I think there was a little bit something for everyone there. I mean, I know there's been like a lot of hate videos on how this Nintendo Direct failed, and like I don't understand like how it could fail people. It's just them giving announcements of games. If you don't like it, so be it. Just because you didn't like it doesn't mean that got to give it an F for everybody else. So
Yeah,
just
they announced over 40 games. Like, I mean, some are updates, some are expansions, but they talked about 40 games during the
yeah,
direct.
it was a lot of
Um,
games. They gave you a lot of stuff, so you can't be
yeah,
mad at them for that.
I think people are more disappointed by. I think they're disappointed by the the fact that we didn't get like more Breath of the Wild to like shown. We
Who
essentially got like
cares?
a very similar
They got a
glimpse of
release
what we've
date.
already seen. We did get a release date, but they remember the game was supposed to come out this year. So
Yeah,
that I think there's a lot of disappointment around there. And I think the other disappointing for people part of it for people was that nothing was a big AAA announcement. It was a lot of smaller, just like more like, indie-ish games, or
yeah,
like B tier or whatever games that essentially weren't, it's not Donkey Kong like a new Donkey Kong game, or a like, which I know you would have been super excited about,
yeah.
or it's not the Metroid game. Like, we got no update on the Metroid
Yeah,
game.
okay. I will say that was kind of a big disappointment there. No update on the Metroid or
Hmm.
any of those rumored games from the GameCube that were going to be remastered, like those Zelda games or the Metroid Prime trilogy or whatever. Like people just need to shut up with that. Like, come on, like.
And
But that's what rumors are for.
yeah, and that's Jeff Grubb, I think, is part of the issue right there, because
Yeah,
on his Twitter he announced that there was definitely going to be um Wind Waker news.
yeah.
A lot
Wind
of a
Waker,
lot of people
Twilight Princess.
Yeah, Twilight. He said that we would get GameCube games, and we heard nothing about GameCube games. We got we got some
Absolutely
updated
not.
N64 games, which I'm excited about. Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings is gonna be is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, that
That
was
they're
very
bringing that back.
underrated on the N64. That definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and then as we have this person in our comments that's writing in. As you know, the educator Matt Bliss is writing in, and he writes a couple comments here. He says also shout out to Australian developers Studio Dry Dock. Wildflowers is coming out tomorrow. Check it out on the Switch, Steam, and Apple Arcade. And then he also said he pointed out that Jeff Grubb apologized for the miscommunication on his YouTube channel. So yeah, so I guess he's hearing it not just from our podcast. He's probably getting it from a couple other people in terms of what,
Really.
what to expect. But yeah, he he's usually pretty careful about that stuff in the way he approaches it.
He's a pretty reliable source. I mean, definitely.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
mean
don't think it. Yeah.
they're all reliable until they're wrong. It's just
Yeah.
like they everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of these people that put out these rumors, they'll put out a thousand announcements and they hit one and then they become a reliable source. Job is not one of those people.
No.
He definitely has insiders and people that he knows on the inside that can speak to the things that that essentially he's commenting on. But he usually doesn't say like, oh yeah, I'm guaranteeing pretty much a certain game or something happening at the
Hardware.
showcase. Yeah, which he did this time, and
Yeah.
I think he's gonna rein it back from here on out
He
a
pulled a
little bit.
Bloomberg. He pulled a
Yeah.
Bloomberg what they did last year with the Switch Pro. Just expect the Switch Pro to be announced any day now after the E3 thing or whatever happened last
Mhm.
year, and nothing happened. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man.
you can't call your shot like that, and just expect them not hear from the people. So I mean it
Yeah.
sucks, but it is what it is.
What did you think about Sony announcing their state of play on the same day that Nintendo is having Direct?
Um, I think they did it, for clicks for the most part. They probably knew people were going to be watching the Nintendo Direct, so it's like, all right, let's get that same audience to watch, our Sony State of Play, because I mean, there are, the Nintendo super fans, the Sony super fans, but I'm really thinking in this day and age, at least with myself and yourself, there are a great amount of people who game on whatever, and
Hmm.
that's wherever they think the great content is. That means they have the full trifecta. They have the Xbox, they have the Nintendos, they have the Sonys, PlayStation, whatever you want to call it, the trifecta. They're going after those people, I feel. So I
Yeah.
mean that's what I feel. So I think they did it on purpose, in other words. I don't think it was like a coincidence.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I definitely think they did it on purpose too. I don't know if there's any benefit to doing it that way. Because you could always just come back at it's pre-recorded. So do I think they hurt themselves in terms of doing it like the same day as Nintendo? No, but I definitely feel like there's like a little battle there. I don't.
Yeah.
To my memory, there's never been a Nintendo Direct and a PlayStation Showcase or a Microsoft Showcase or State of Play or whatever. I'm getting all these names confused, but there's never been all of them. Like, there's never been
On the
two on
same
the
day.
same day. Yeah. So
Unless
that,
it's like E3, but even like with E3, they would never do it on the same day. So,
yeah, yeah,
but it was
like, yeah.
funny because it was funny though too because Sony tweeted at Nintendo. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah,
No,
they,
I
they
didn't. I
tweeted
missed that.
out. Yeah, I could try to pull it up for you like after the show, put it on our Discord. But yeah, they tweeted that.
Okay.
So yeah, they knew they're aware and they know what goes on in each other's camp. So it's
Yeah.
it's no big secret.
They were like they were tweeted at them so like Nintendo could be like, "Oh, never mind. Well, we'll do ours another day." Yeah, that wouldn't happen. Gosh. Okay. So, would you say there was anything, let's see. Or what would you say was you might already answer this. What would you say your highlight was for the Nintendo Direct if you already said it? I
The
don't remember.
big the big highlight for
Mhm.
me. Let me look at the list. I would have to say it was a toss up, pretty much a three-way tie between the Switch Online expansion packs with the N64 games. The second one would be Mario and Rabbids. Actually, kind of a four-way tie. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pack Wave 3, and then Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. So like four things. Those were like the four top, and then of course Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but we didn't really see any gameplay. And then there are a few other games I'm curious about, like Factorio. I know that's already on PC,
Yep.
and I guess Tunic, but I mean I could play that,
Yeah.
whenever I guess. But so I mean, that pretty much was it for me. And I guess it takes two, but yeah.
Yeah. I think the most interesting game of the show was the Fatal Frame announcement. Just not seeing a Fatal Frame game in quite a while. I think it's interesting that like they're bringing that horror game to the Switch. Just yeah, Fatal Frame was such an interesting premise, and I think they did a follow up game or like a spiritual successor to that original game. But yeah, I think it's interesting because I mean the last Fatal Frame that came out like in the 2000s, like early 2000s on the PlayStation 2. Do you remember that game?
Vaguely, not too much, but I mean, I know. Yeah, I'm not really too familiar with Fatal Frame, but
Yeah.
yeah, I vaguely remember it. Not, yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't really my cup of tea back in the day. I guess you could say.
Well, I would say it wasn't most people's cup of tea. I mean, it was like a Japanese survival horror game that like you walked around as a female like in like skimpy clothes, just being terrified, and the only thing that can like save you is your flashlight and your camera. Uh, so yeah, there was quite a few of them. Like after the original one came out, there was several follow ups to the game after that. But I mean, it was an interesting game. You know, let's see. Oh, but yeah, I think that was the most interesting one. Definitely out of all the games, I I would say the Final Fantasy game, the one I can barely pronounce, the theatrhythm, theorhythm, whatever, however they want you to say that. The Final Fantasy game is definitely once again one of my favorites. Other than that, let's
I
see.
wasn't. I don't know. Just that game. I'm not trying to sound like a hater. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess. I mean, well, I'll have to see how it is. I mean, if someone gets it on the Switch, I won't be getting it. But if someone gets it on the Switch, I'll definitely take a look, be curious. I'm sure someone will stream it. Hopefully, they don't.
I think the art style was like the most interesting and um the most kind of upsetting, not upsetting, but the thing that like the art style, I'm not really a fan of the art style. In the same respect, the art style is so interesting that they like the fact that they look like almost like puppets. All the Final Fantasy characters, I you know, I think that lends to its kind of its charm, but in the same respect, it makes me not interested in the game because the art style means a lot to me when I'm playing a game.
Hmm.
But essentially, it's a music game. So
Yeah,
Final Fantasy has some of the best music,
it
just
does.
out there in terms of orchestral music. And I've gone to the Kingdom Hearts orchestra, and I've also gone to a Final Fantasy 15 orchestra back in Los Angeles. So I'm excited to play those rhythm games in my own home and just listen to the music and
Yeah.
really just sit back and enjoy the music. Whatever's happening on screen is happening on screen, but just to sit back and play a game that's dedicated to one of the best parts of what brings every Final Fantasy game to life is going to be is very interesting to me. So that's the reason why I'm excited for that one. But I also like games like Frequency, um, you know, Guitar Hero. Yeah, Amplitude is another one that I was really big in. I loved it. DDR.
Rock
So
Band. Did you like that one?
I did like Rock Band. I like Rock Band Beatles,
Mm,
the Beatles edition. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty much the same to me. It was all too similar in respect. But yeah, I like music and rhythm games.
yeah,
So I
fair
guess
enough.
I'll end it on that note. And let's see. I think that's it. Oh yeah,
Mm,
Matt brought up a good one also, Thumper. I played that one in VR, and that was a trip. Yeah, but a lot of fun. Yeah, Thumper was a good one, where you're that giant beetle, going down like a roller coaster of just beats and tracks. Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Let's see.
oh
So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. What's that?
So you're gonna get my letter grade on the Nintendo Direct,
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
huh?
Are you going to give a
Or
letter grade
oh
or
no
one
no
through
no.
five?
Well, I'll give it a 1 through 5.
Okay,
I'll do a 4.
a four.
I don't think it knocked it out of the park. But they talked about a lot of games. If you give it anything less than a 4, I think you're just crazy and you just wanted too much from them, or you're listening to too much Jeff Grubb or something, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes Nintendo fans, they're a tough breed to impress. You know that. So
So just to recap, so TGS was a five, State of Play was a four, and then Nintendo Direct was also a four.
mm,
Is that correct?
yes. What are
Okay.
yours?
I'm a lot lower than you. I not a
Okay.
lot lower, but I am lower than you. So, Nintendo Direct, I would give a this is kind of tough. I would say a 3.
Okay.
The State of Play, I would give a 3.
Mm.
TGS, I would give a 2.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I used to watch TGS, the Tokyo Game Show was one of my favorite conferences back in the day. And before pre-COVID, it was kind of one of the go-to shows. It was like one of the it's almost like a PAX West of Tokyo. Like it was a show where you could expect big announcements. I don't feel like we got a ton of huge announcements in this particular Tokyo Game Show. I think it was okay, but I didn't think it was anything phenomenal. I don't feel like there was enough content because it was 3 days.
Hmm.
Actually, it was longer than 3 days.
Yeah.
Technically,
Yeah.
they started making.
Some of it was repeat stuff that we had already seen from the Nintendo Direct or the Sony State of Play. So I get where you're
Yeah,
coming from there.
it's almost the issues that I had with the Xbox show and during I think it was August or June. Back a few months ago,
Mm.
where they had a lot of developer stuff broken in between all of the things that were happening in terms of game announcements, which very much took away from a lot of the enjoyment. I was up at 1 a.m. watching a Square Enix conference, and they were talking. It was all in Japanese. There were subtitles, but what game were they talking about? Um, yeah, I don't even remember. That's how much I cared. But yeah, no, it was great to see that it was broadcasted everywhere. The times were really funky,
Mhm.
um, but it was great to see that it was available everywhere. I just for 3 days of show, I just expected bigger announcements, and there
Okay.
wasn't there wasn't much of anything.
Yeah, nothing was
Um,
like brand new. I don't think, with the exception of
yeah,
Tekken, but we already saw it the State of Play. So
yeah. Nintendo did 40 announcements in like 40 minutes. Okay, TGS had like 25 announcements in 3 days. Um, yeah, there's an issue there. There's a little discrepancy. Yeah, if you're gonna do developer things, like create an event around that and let the audience know what they're gonna get. But just to have us watch, and there was just a lot of talking and hanging out amongst developers and so forth, and people making the games. It's great, but they didn't even really get into the cosplay. Like cosplay is such a big thing at the Tokyo Game Show. We didn't even see much of that. So it was a little lackluster for me. So I
okay,
will
fair
I will
enough.
I will say that. Other than that, I think we're at the end of the show.
Okay.
Let's see. So before we dive, actually, let's go ahead and dive into the release rundown. Are you okay taking the release rundown again for me?
Yes, I could do that for you.
All right, it's all
All right,
yours.
so let's see here. September 20th, we have three games coming out. We have Hard Space Shipbreaker, which is coming to the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Jack Move coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. You should be able to play them on the PS5 or Xbox Series with backwards compatibility. You also got Solstice coming to the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. September 21st, we got Gundam Evolution coming to the PC. September 22nd, we got five games coming. We got No Place for Bravery coming to the Switch and PC. We got Serial Cleaners coming to the PS5. Well, actually, all consoles and PC. I'll just put it that way. Session Skate, Session Skate Skin, excuse me. PS5, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Slime Rancher 2, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And you got Dio Field Chronicle, which is coming to the PS5, PS4, pretty much all consoles and PC. So another one there. And then September 23rd, you got the Shovel Knight Dig coming to Switch, PC, and iOS. So, I mean, those are the games coming out for next week. Um, I guess from what I've seen, maybe Shovel Knight Dig looks pretty interesting. Otherwise, I'm not really too familiar with a lot of these games. Maybe Gundam Evolution. I'll probably take a look at that. Anything on there that anyone should dip their hands into, Finest?
Yeah, I would say in terms of what I think the Diofield or Diofield Chronicles is going to be the big one there. It's one of Square Enix's newest releases, and it's a strategy role playing game. It very much, when I first saw it, I thought of Final Fantasy Tactics, which one is one of my favorite games of all time, which I recently bought for my PSP, that I purchased at Game On, that me
Oh
and
yeah.
Too Tall went to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's it's being released for everything, but it just has that old school pixelated style. It's almost top down, if not isometric. The view, but it's tiled based. Almost in the realm of Disgaea, or if you played Final Fantasy Tactics, or any other strategy game, Front Mission that we talked to earlier. But yeah, it looks so beautiful. It really does. And yeah, I'm curious of what the story is about. um I kind of am upset at Square Enix because they just didn't make Final Fantasy Tactics like the new one. like looking at this game, like this game very much could have been Final Fantasy, based on what I've seen. But yeah, very curious about the story. This looks like a perfect game for me. I'm so glad it's coming out to PlayStation 4 also. Thank you, Square. It's also coming out to the Series X. I guess I can play it on there too. But for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, I still favor my PlayStation. But anyway, that's beyond the point. So I think that is going to be my number one. A lot of these games I'm not familiar with either. Let's see, but other than that, I would say, just in terms of Noob Saibot, what he would say, from the Loading Bar podcast. I think he's been championing Gundam for quite a while, like for the last like several months, maybe even longer than that, but several months that I know of. So I would say go ahead and check out Gundam Evolution. That game, let's see,
It's
it's a
coming to
free.
it's coming to everything else on November 30th. It looks like.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's a free to play game, but it's something that Gundam's never done before, because it's I believe it's a first person shooter, if I recall right. Which Gundam hasn't really done. It's always been third person. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious to see what that kind of brings to the table. But in the same respect, I think that kind of takes away from the game because the coolest part, the reason why it's always been third person is because you always want to see your cool Gundam. Like you always want to see how like awesome that they look, and then you always want to see all the different versions and stuff like that. So I guess you'll be able to see that like the ones in terms of like the ones you're fighting, but just for it being a first person shooter, I think is going to be interesting. And I also find it interesting that it's free to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm kind of stoked on that one. And I know that Bandai Namco, they're going to continuously put out updates for that game. But yeah, I would say those two are going to be the big ones.
All right, for sure, definitely.
All right. So I think we're rounding off the end of this episode. We've been talking a game about games for 2 hours, which is the reason why I know you all are here. So we appreciate that. Let's see. So we actually digging into chat room right now. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the chat room and talk about our comments. I'm just gonna go ahead and pick this one right off the bat. Fresh news. 247 says Gundam free to play sounds like a con. So free to play means a lot of different things. We don't know how much of that is going to be free to play, but yeah, there's going to be microtransactions. So break out your wallets. Go buy your favorite Gundam. Hopefully, there's not a hopefully the gotcha systems aren't too bad. But I think yeah, yeah, I think that's my favorite condom. J man, what's your favorite
uh,
comment this evening?
Pretty much. Just going through. Well, I got two. I'll just do one real quick from earlier. Gray Seer, shout out to you. Woo EWJ, I love that game. So he was a big Earthworm Jim fan. And then Mr. Matthew Bliss, the educator. What up, my man? You got to come back on the Game and Watch podcast pretty soon. But E3 is in September now, LOL. So, which I guess you could say that they did. It was kind of a mini E3 for some, but I mean, there was nothing like really brand new, with the exception of like one or two games maybe. So, I wouldn't go that far, but I mean, it is what it is. But I
Yeah.
think these are like the last big announcement shows of the year. I mean, I don't think we're getting any more until sometime next year. I'm just being real with you about that.
I mean, we got a lot of showcases this September. We
Yeah,
definitely got more than two
yeah,
announcements,
yeah.
or two new game announcements.
If you're talking about the whole month, including what they did uh, last week with with Disney
D
three or
twenty
whatever,
three,
yeah,
yeah.
D23 and the Ubisoft showcase, and yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think we'll get a couple more announcements before year's end.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and I think we also might get like one or two more showcases from I don't know who, but
Hmm.
there has to be at least a couple other companies out there.
Yeah.
I'm
I
also
don't think
gonna
we're
shout
getting
out.
it. I don't think we're doing any more Nintendo stuff, but yeah, you got
Okay,
shout out.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna just say also just one more for Matt Bliss. Kirby's Dreamland only. I'll accept no substitute. Was a great comment that I just wanted to shout out. Also, other than that, I think we're done. I think we're gonna wrap up this episode.
All right.
So let's go ahead and call it quits. And I'm going to say once again, for those watching, please like, subscribe, and share this podcast. I'm going to even go ahead and put up the graphic. Here we go. So it's going to go silent for a quick second. There we go. Boom. Shaka laka
Boom.
laka. Okay. And other than that, I mean, I just want to say thank you all for sticking with us all these long hours during this podcast to hang out and chat with us and write in your comments and questions and so forth. Once again, you can support us at patreon.com/our view gaming. Other than that, Tutal, was there anything that you wanted to plug before we get off today?
Just thank you all for watching, listening. Definitely like, subscribe, comment, feedback, all that good stuff. Support our streams. We're gonna be doing our best to stream some more games for y'all very, very soon. So keep a lookout on that.
Yep, totally agree. Let's see. There's one last comment.
The
Yep.
Game Awards.
Yeah, not worried about that. All right, thank you all for watching another episode of the Game & Watch podcast. We'll check you all next week. And other than that, have a great rest of your evening and don't work too hard. Peace out.